Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Underground Reviews. And today, we're going to be reviewing one of my personal favorites. Blood Red Shoes. Blood Red Shoes are a rock and roll duo, alternative rock and roll duo, from Brighton, England. Members consist of Laurie Mary Carter and Stephen Enzel. How the band was formed was that Laurie and Stephen's bands respectively broke up. They decided to get together for a jam, and thus the band was born. The name comes from a dancer that Stephen had seen, who she danced so much that her shoes became blood red, hence the name Blood Red Shoes. Blood Red Shoes has 4 albums out, and let me tell you guys, all their albums are extraordinary. Their first album, which I'm going to talk about a little bit right now, is Box of Secrets. Box of Secrets came out in November of 2008. But before the band could actually even get the album out, it was leaked on torrent, and the band wasn't upset. They're not against, free music and downloads and stuff like that. They were just disappointed at the fact that their album artwork and the lyrics to their songs couldn't get out. So, hey, it is what it is. Some of the great tracks on this album. Actually, as a matter of fact, this album is, if you want to get into Blood Red Shoes, I highly advise Box of Secrets be the first album you listen to, because it's just a superb album, just awesome album. It's got great tracks on it, such as I Wish I Was Somebody Better.
I wish I was someone better. I wish I was someone better. I wish I was someone better. I wish I was someone.
It's Getting Boring by the Sea.
Oh, no. Can't escape anything in this town. Knock yourself out. No. Can't escape anything in this town. Knock yourself out. Such a hard.
And ADHD. And just the entire album. The entire album is really, 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 really good. I mean, it's just an awesome album. When that Blood Red Shoes went on tour with this album, promoted the hell out of it. And then during the final stages until before their next album, during their concerts, they were slipping in new songs, and then they kind of let it out saying, oh, we're making a new album. Thus, in 2010, in March of 2010, I should say, they came out with Fire Like This. Fire Like This is their second album, yet again. See, Blood Red Shoes is my favorite album, not favorite band. Now, in order to really consider to be one of my favorite bands, you gotta have awesomeness. I mean, there are 3 bands in my #1 spot that I love, and Blood Red Shoes is one of them. And the reason why that is because I can listen to their entire album and just love every fucking song on that album. Each song just hits me right in the heart, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. And there are 3 bands that can do that. Blood Red Shoes is one of them. Now, on Fire Like This, there are some great fucking songs on this. It opens up with Don't Ask, and that's a great song. One thing I do love about Blood Red Shoes is that both Stephen Enzel and Laurie Mary Carter sing. And Stephen Enzel plays the fucking drums, and he can sing. And he doesn't just play the drums, he plays the fucking drums like crazy. And he can sing on top of that. And then you got Laurie Mary Carter, who is just this beautiful, beautiful woman. An extremely beautiful woman. And she plays fucking guitar. And she's badass on the guitar too. Love her voice, love Stephen Enzel. Love them both. Then, okay, now I'm sorry for being distracted, but now back to Fire Like This. You got songs like, then after Don't Ask, you got
anyway. Your own, your own, your own. I'm not now.
Light 'Em Up, which is a great song too. Light 'Em Up has a really catchy chorus. It's actually a really catchy song. And then the other song that is really, really good on there, but there's also, well, why don't I talk about all the songs on the album are really good, but there's When We Wake Up, then there's Heart Sink. Pretty beautiful love song. I mean, it's not really a love song. It's a song that can help you get over your ex. Not a love song. It goes, you know, here. Yes, that is just, we sacrifice for the opposites. I find that just beautiful. Beautiful thing to say. So with Fire Like This, and with those songs, we move on to their next album. Now, their next album, they decided they want to do something different. Steven Enzel went on record saying that he wanted to change the band, but yet still be the band. And when he did In Time with Voices, which is the fourth album, by the way, In Time with Voices, and it's also the first album of Blood Red Shoes that I personally bought myself. They went into the studio, recorded the album, and they say that they were, you know, changed into a new band. This album has, the first track is In Times with Voices, which is like this really slow, kind of hypnotic, and then it goes right into this just raw rock. And then it's got an amazing track, Cold. Which is one of my favorite songs from Blood Red Shoes. One of my favorite songs from Blood Red Shoes. And it's just an extraordinary song. And then there is J Me Parade. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. It's actually French for I Lose Myself. Which is this primal punk rock song, which is just beautiful. I love punk rock, by the way. It's just raw, in your face punk rock. And then one of my other personal favorites is actually on this album too. Is Down in the Dark, which is great song. I just love Lori's little and then Steven comes in with his chorus, and it's just a great song. Now on to their most recent album. That In Time with Voices was actually released in 2012 in March. Now their next album, which was released in 2014. Now, how this album came about was actually really interesting. The band this was the first time the band themselves, Lori and Steven, decided to say, hey, we want to make our own album. We wanted to do it ourselves and not have to go through a record label. And so that's why they say that their next album, which is called Blood Red Shoes, why they decided to call it that album is because it's an album that they themselves did. Now, how they came about with this album was they decided to release QR codes, which is those little weird thingy-mabobbers that you can use use your phone on and get like cool little promotional deals or whatever. Steven and Laurie decided to release a bunch of those posters throughout the world where you can do that and you get a bit of a song. And then if you collect enough of them, you get this whole song. And if you're lucky enough, one person was lucky enough, you scan it and you get tickets for life to see Blood Red Shoes. And so that was how they did that. It was a really interesting thing. It all worked out, and thus moves right into their self-titled album, Blood Red Shoes. Alright, this album has great songs. It's got even one of my favorite songs, An Animal. I love it in An Animal. It's just a great song. I mean, Caught Like a Spring, I'm Ready to Explode. I mean, just phenomenal album. This album I actually happened to have gotten for Christmas, and it was actually just a great album. I don't know what else to say about this album. I mean, it's a great album. Another great song off this album is Behind a Wall. Behind the Wall is you know, each songs in this album, you know, have a special meaning to them. I mean, all songs do, but this particular album, you know, I can relate to almost all the songs. On my guitar, I've actually even quoted the Blood Red Shoes, and that's from a song called Speech Coma. And that's a really cool song. I don't know, Perfect Mess. This is a great band. These guys deserve to be on the radio, but they're not because they're underground. And, you know, I might go on to say I'm a hipster and say I don't want them to go on the radio because they'll change. But I love Blood Red Shoes. I love every single song out of them. I have nothing but absolute praise for them. I would advise you guys to check them out. They are a wonderful band. They are actually in the process of making another album, to be determined. It's their 5th studio album. And, you know, just, they're great music, and they are criminally underrated. But then again, if they were on the mainstream, I wouldn't be doing a review on them because I only do bands that are so famous that you've never even heard of them. So with that said, that is my review on Blood Red Shoes. Definitely give them a listen to. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any bands that are underground that not very many people know about, that aren't mainstream, leave their name in the comments, and I'll see if I can do a video on them. Actually, I'll do a video on them. With that said, this has been an underground review, and so long, and thanks for all the fish.